My niece said, "No one would notice if I disappeared," while unwrapping the phone I paid for. Everyone laughed, even my parents. They had no idea I was about to walk away from the entire family. The silence I left behind cost them more than they ever expected. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, this story might stay with you. Tell me in the comments. What finally made you walk away? My niece turned 13 last weekend. I was there, as always, blending into the background like a potted plant no one waters, but somehow still expects to stay alive. 30 family members packed into my sister's house. Balloons, buffet trays, laughter bouncing off the walls like we were all part of some perfect, well-adjusted clan. I'd paid for the phone she was unwrapping, just like I'd paid for the bounce house, the catering, the decorations. No one asked. They never do. They just assume Uncle Silent will handle it. I don't know what I expected, maybe a thank you, or just to not be mocked in front of everyone. But I was standing by the kitchen island, drinking warm soda, when she unwrapped the gift and squealed. Everyone clapped. Then she said it. "Mom says if you disappeared tomorrow, no one would even notice." Laughter. Real laughter, from every corner of the room. My mom covered her mouth, giggling. My dad just chuckled and shook his head like it was all in good fun. My sister, the one who made the comment in the first place, was smiling, proud of the delivery. My cousin slapped the table. My aunt said, "That's not nice," but she was laughing too. And me? I stood there, nodding like it was nothing, like it didn't gut me from the inside out, like it didn't echo louder than the music or the bouncing kids or the streamers rustling in the air vents. I smiled because I've had a lifetime of practice at swallowing myself whole. I didn't say a word, but I took my phone out of my pocket, tapped twice. First on the app that controls all the auto payments, gone. Then the shared credit card logins, removed. Then the 3 family phone lines under my name, canceled. Netflix, Hulu, the Disney Plus account they use but never pay for, all disabled. My Amazon Prime, logged out on all devices. In less than a minute, I cut every financial tie. They didn't notice. They were too busy laughing at the ghost in the room. The ghost who's always so serious, always so generous, always so quiet. But I felt something shift inside me. It wasn't anger, not yet. Just a stillness, like a body of water freezing from the center out. I stood there long enough to finish my soda, put the can in the trash, and say goodbye to my niece. She didn't even look up from her new phone. Walking out of that house felt like breathing after drowning for years. I didn't say a single word to anyone. I just left. And for the first time in my life, they were right. No one noticed. I drove home in silence. The road was empty, the kind of quiet that feels like a test. Streetlights washed everything in dull amber as I pulled into the lot of my small apartment, the only space that actually belonged to me. I didn't turn on the lights. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what I came to do. Every motion felt calm, deliberate. No shaking hands, no tears. I grabbed a duffel from the closet and started packing. 2 pairs of jeans, 3 shirts, my passport, the folder with my savings and ID. I folded everything neatly, like ritual. My whole life reduced to a few pounds of fabric and paper. Then I reached for the old black backpack at the back of the closet. It was dusty, worn at the straps, stuffed with a few random things from years ago. Receipts, a phone charger, a lighter. I emptied it onto the floor. I wasn't taking it with me. That backpack wasn't for me anymore. It was for them. I filled it with copies of every bill I'd paid over the years. Insurance, car payments, phone plans, mortgage contributions, even the student loans I'd quietly helped my sister with. Every piece of proof I'd ever existed in their lives as more than a wallet. On top, I placed a simple note. "You said no one would notice if I disappeared. Consider this proof." It didn't feel vengeful. It felt clean. At 1:13 a.m., I drove back to my parents' neighborhood. The party lights were still faintly glowing through their curtains, evidence of leftover laughter. I parked a block away and walked the rest of the distance. Every sound was sharp. The wind, my shoes on the pavement, the faint hum of the fridge when I slipped the spare key into the door. I didn't linger. I just set the black backpack on the stairs, right where they'd see it first thing in the morning. Not hidden, not dramatic. Just there. A silent statement. I'm done. For a moment I stood there, looking around the house that had always felt both too full and empty at the same time. Every photo on the walls showed someone I'd funded. Vacations, graduations, celebrations. All smiles paid for by the invisible man behind the camera. I felt nothing now. No urge to slam doors or yell or demand apologies. I'd spent years doing everything right, waiting for recognition that never came. Tonight wasn't revenge. It was an exit. When I closed the door behind me, I didn't look back. The night air felt colder, lighter, alive. The black backpack would say everything I never could. By the time they found it, I'd already be gone. They found the backpack the next morning. I know because my phone started vibrating before the sun even cleared the blinds. Call after call, text after text, all from family group. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The first voicemail said everything. My sister's voice frantic. "What the hell did you do? Mom's crying, Dad's furious. The internet's off, the cards aren't working. The mortgage payment bounced. What is wrong with you?" I sat at my kitchen table, coffee cooling beside me, and listened to the chaos unfold in my inbox. Their panic had a rhythm to it. Confusion, anger, guilt, then back to anger again. I scrolled through it all like a spectator at a show I'd seen too many times. At noon, the pounding started. My father's voice boomed through the door like thunder. "Open this damn door right now." I didn't. Then came my mother's voice, trembling between sobs. "Please, honey, we just want to talk." When they finally forced their way in, I'd left the latch undone on purpose. I was sitting calmly on the couch, laptop open, typing an email for work like it was any other day. My dad looked ready to explode. His face was red, his hands clenched. "You shut everything down. Your mother couldn't even buy groceries this morning. You humiliated us." I looked up. "You mean I stopped paying for things that weren't mine?" "That's not the point," he barked. Mom tried to step in, her voice soft. "We just don't understand why you'd do this to your own family." "To my family?" I repeated, leaning back. "I've been paying for this family for years. You didn't even notice until it cost you." My father slammed his fist on the table. "You're being cruel. We raised you." I closed my laptop slowly, met his eyes, and said it, the sentence I'd rehearsed in silence for years. "You used me. There's a difference between family and parasites." The room went still. My mom started crying harder, mumbling something about ungratefulness, about how families help each other. I stood up, walked to the door, and held it open. "You should go." Dad hesitated, like he might say something else, something human. But all that came out was a low growl of pride wounded beyond repair. "You'll regret this." "I already regret staying this long," I said. They left. The echo of the slammed door didn't sting this time. It sounded like a lock clicking shut from the inside. I went back to my coffee, now cold, and took a sip, bitter but clean. The peace that followed wasn't loud or triumphant. It was quiet, still, and absolute. For the first time, I wasn't the background character in my own life. I was the author. 3 days passed before I realized just how deep the ripples went. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Blocked numbers, unknown callers, voicemails full of shouting and desperate apologies. My sister even showed up at my office once, mascara streaked and trembling, begging me to please fix this, because Dad's losing it. Security escorted her out. The thing about people who live off your generosity is they mistake dependence for love. Once you pull the plug, they don't grieve you. They grieve the supply. Then came the text from my father. "Let's talk like adults. No yelling. Meet me at the stadium tomorrow. Just a game. Peace offering." He even added a thumbs-up emoji, like that somehow made it casual. Against my better judgment, I went. Not for him, for closure. The stadium was half full when I arrived. He was waiting near the entrance, the black backpack dangling from his hand. I hadn't seen it since that night. It looked heavier now, bulging at the seams. He smiled, the kind of smile that hides teeth. "Did you think this was funny?" he asked as soon as I got close. "Leaving this like some kind of suicide note?" I kept my tone calm. It wasn't meant to be funny. It was meant to be final. He barked a laugh. "You think you're better than us now. You humiliated your mother. Your sister's crying herself sick. Everyone's talking about you." "I'm sure they are," I said. That's what happens when the money stops flowing. That's when he lost it. Not physically, but verbally. He started shouting about everything he'd done for me, twisting history into debt. The noise caught people's attention. Heads turned. I didn't raise my voice. I just asked, "Who paid off your car loan last year?" He froze. "And your medical bills after that hospital stay?" Silence. "Who's been covering your mortgage just until things pick up for the last 8 years?" The crowd around us grew, the murmurs rising, my father's face drained of color. "You ungrateful little—" I stepped forward. "No, you're ungrateful. You called me family when it meant money. You mocked me when it didn't. This—" I reached out and took the backpack from his hand. "Is all that's left between us." He tried to grab it back, but I unzipped it right there. Inside were the documents, the receipts, the proof. I held them up, letting the wind scatter a few pages onto the bleachers. "Here's your record," I said quietly. "Every cent, every sacrifice, every time you said you'd pay me back." People were staring. His voice cracked when he said, "Put that away." But I didn't. I placed the backpack at his feet and said, "That's your inheritance. Congratulations." Then I walked out of the stadium to the sound of whispers, leaving him standing there in a storm of truth he couldn't control. Outside, the air was sharp and clean. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt free. After the stadium, everything went quiet. The kind of silence that follows an explosion. I didn't block their numbers right away. I wanted to hear the sound of their unraveling. The voicemails began as fury, then shifted into confusion, then pity. "You've made your point," my sister said in one message, her voice cracking. "We just want our brother back." But every time I replayed her words, all I heard was the same entitlement disguised as affection. They didn't want me. They wanted the life that came with me. Days stretched into weeks. Their messages turned into apologies wrapped in guilt. My mother left long, rambling recordings about how families should stick together no matter what. My father, too proud to beg, sent short, icy texts. "You've embarrassed us enough. Fix this before it's too late." When that didn't work, he tried insults, the last language of powerless men. I didn't reply to any of it. Not a word. The absence of reaction became its own punishment. I could feel them clawing at the silence, terrified of being left alone with themselves. For years, I'd been their scapegoat, their safety net, their silent partner in dysfunction. Now they had no one left to absorb the fallout. My coworker once asked if I missed them. I thought about it honestly. The noise? No. The guilt? Not even a little. What I missed was the idea of family, something I never really had, though I kept paying for the illusion. I started running in the mornings, cooking real meals, rediscovering what my own company sounded like. There's a strange peace that comes when your phone rings and you don't even feel tempted to answer. It's not bitterness, it's clarity. One night around 2 a.m., I got a message from my father. Just one sentence. "You've ruined us." I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Not out of anger, out of finality. Because the truth was simple. They'd ruined themselves years ago. I'd only stopped financing the damage. After that, the calls slowed, then stopped. The world didn't end. I didn't crumble under guilt or loneliness. I just existed, quietly, fully. Sometimes peace doesn't arrive with forgiveness or closure. Sometimes it shows up as silence, steady, unyielding, and entirely yours. And that silence was the first real thing I'd ever owned. I didn't see my father again until almost 2 months later. It was a gray Thursday morning, the kind of day when the air feels heavy, like something is waiting to happen. I was walking back from the grocery store when I saw him sitting on the bench outside my building. He looked smaller somehow, his shoulders hunched, clothes rumpled. The man who once filled rooms with noise now blended into the city like background static. "Son," he said, standing up slowly. His voice wasn't angry this time, just tired. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. I set my grocery bag down beside me, studied his face. For the first time, I noticed the age in his eyes, the desperation behind the gentleness. "Talk," I said. He sighed. "We can't go on like this. Your mother's sick with worry. Your sister can barely sleep. We just want our family back." It sounded rehearsed, careful, as if love was a performance he could still sell. "You don't miss me," I said. "You miss the money, the convenience, the version of me that kept you comfortable." He flinched. "That's not true." "It is. And that's okay," I said softly, because I finally stopped pretending it wasn't. He looked at the ground, jaw tightening. "You think you're better than us now?" I shook my head. "No. I just think I'm finally me." The silence between us stretched, filled with years of unspoken blame. Then, like a switch flipping, his tone changed. "After everything we did for you, this is how you repay us?" he snapped, voice rising. People on the street started glancing over. His hands trembled as he pointed at me. "Ungrateful! You wouldn't have a life if it weren't for me." When I didn't respond, he stepped closer, too close, and shoved me in the chest. It wasn't hard, more pathetic than violent, but it carried every ounce of his decaying pride. I didn't move, didn't shout, didn't even feel my pulse rise. I just looked at him, calm and steady. "You can't hurt me anymore," I said quietly. He froze, hands still half raised. Something flickered in his expression, not guilt, not anger, just realization. The moment he understood that the control was gone forever. I picked up my groceries and stepped past him. He didn't follow. He just stood there, deflated, staring at the pavement like he was seeing the outline of something he'd destroyed with his own hands. When I reached my door, I glanced back once. He was still there, head down, alone, and for the first time, I didn't feel sorry. I felt free. It's been 4 months since I walked away. 4 months without obligation, without guilt, without the weight of a family that only remembered my name when a bill was due. My life now is quiet, intentionally so. I wake up when the sun fills my small apartment. I cook for myself, simple things, like I'm relearning how to care in ways that don't involve sacrifice. I take long walks, read books I never had time for, sit in parks with strangers who don't expect anything from me. The silence is no longer emptiness, it's peace. Some nights I lie in bed and wonder if they're still spiraling. I don't check. I don't need to. Whatever storm they're in now, they created it without me. And they'll survive it without me. Or they won't. Either way, it's no longer my job to fix it. Last week, I found a letter in my mailbox. Handwritten, no return address. I knew it was from my mother the moment I saw the handwriting. "We're falling apart. Please come home. We don't know how to do this without you." That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just desperation wrapped in nostalgia. I didn't even open the rest of it. I stood at the sink, tore it in half, then again, and dropped the pieces into the trash like they were someone else's history. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate, because the truth is, I'm already home. This life, this quiet, small, self-built thing, is mine. I don't owe it to anyone. I don't have to justify it. I earned it with every silent sacrifice, every unseen hour, every joke they made at my expense while they cashed the checks. For years I thought love meant staying, sacrificing, enduring. But now I know. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself, is leave. Let them call it abandonment. Let them rewrite the story however they need to. I'm not the villain or the hero. I'm just a man who finally chose himself. And that choice, quiet, firm, irreversible, is the happiest ending I've ever known.